MyMac Podcast 863. It used to be easy.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. In case you're wondering why I'm laughing, it's because it sometimes just takes so bloody long to get the show started for a variety of reasons. But speaking of which, do you remember, Gaz, when simplicity was actually almost built in to Apple products? When presenters would stand on stage and say something to the effect of, all you need to do is hit this button and we'll do all the heavy lifting. Those days, long gone. You can't even see those days in the mirror anymore, Gaz. That's how far gone they are.
I'm just trying to think of those days and when that was exactly, Guy, and what you're appertaining to, really, because has anything ever been simple, really? Yeah, sure. You think?
Yeah. Well, we'll go into some examples, and we'll talk about that in the next section of the show. In the meantime,
yes, what have you been doing this week?
Oh, I was gonna say that to you, but okay, I'll start off.
Okay,
it's good to be here, Gaz. It really is, but don't get used to it. I'm taking a sanity break next weekend, and my wife and I are doing a number of activities. We're going to ride on a train.
Hang on a minute. I got to find. Hang on a minute.
I know you got one
somewhere. I think.
There we go. All right. See if you've got one for this. We're going to wander in a corn maze. Sure, why not? We're going to view a simpler life while still having access to Wi-Fi. We're going to wander in a cavern. Sure. And go back in time to the Middle Ages, all within about a 50-mile radius of where we're going to go.
I don't care if nobody else thought that was funny, because I did.
Good enough. I thought it was funny. So,
no, well, that sounds like you're going to have a really interesting time. There's a corn maze not far from Hust, actually, the Wistow corn maze. I think we went to that. It's like a garden centre, and they grow all sorts of plants, but they've got a corn maze. They have one every year, and we didn't actually go in the corn maze, but it's not too far away. Nearest cavern, though, is probably either up in Derbyshire or down in Cheddar Gorge. That's the nearest cavern, I would say, to us from here.
There's actually a number of well-established caverns.
Now, when was the Middle Ages? When was the Middle Ages?
Oh, we're talking probably 1500s, 1600s, that kind of thing.
I'm glad you said that, Guy, because in the field just below us the other week, I saw somebody with one of these metal detectors going along the field, and I went up to the edge of our hedge and our fence and shouted over to him after he seemed to have picked something up and found something, and I let him go through all his process of, he kept going down, digging it up, and he got this thing up and he polished it up, and he seemed quite interested in it. Anyway, I said, "Are you supposed to be in that field?" and he said yes, and he told me the name of the person that had given him permission, which was the correct name. So that was all well and good. Anyway, we happened to see those people this week, and it was a bracelet from the 1500s.
Nice.
That he'd found. Yeah. So
what was it made of? Just
I don't know. We didn't know all the details because we just happened to meet them very briefly because they'd mentioned the fact that we were, watching out for the fact that someone was in their field doing something perhaps they shouldn't have been. But they were in the field doing something that they could do. So they kind of said, yeah, he's found a bracelet and it's all been registered and everything. So sounds good. Sounds really good.
So are there going to be people that come back and look for
I don't
stuff,
know.
Or?
Well, yeah, probably. Now he's found that, but I'm gonna be doing a bit more in my garden now, I think.
See if you can find something that goes back 500 years.
Yeah. So I equally have recently been back to the Middle Ages, Guy.
You have? Doing what?
if that's deemed to be the Middle Ages. Well, somebody found a bracelet, as I just said, in the field.
Oh, was I there for that part of the conversation?
No, you weren't. No, you
Okay.
weren't. Obviously not.
Right.
Okay, well, this week I've done 2 big rides again. I think it was about a 35 and a 25, and quite a busy week with our rugby executive as the season is starting. And next weekend, I'm actually also refereeing a game on Saturday, which will have an impact on this coming Friday night, Carl. Not a massive impact, but I will still be there because
meeting up with Carl.
I'm meeting up with Carl down and others down in London. So, I'm going to go down there. And but also in the morning of the Friday, I'm supposed to be meeting up with my brother-in-law to do another bike ride. So, Friday is getting rather busy, and next weekend is getting very busy. Also, this week I went out with an old school friend on his. He's got an old boat. Okay, I'm going to play the sound from this old, must be at least 80-year-old, this diesel engine, which he basically found in bits. He's been looking after this one. It's a Dutch-made diesel engine. Some of you may have seen it on Facebook, but this is the sound of it.
Wow. There's absolutely nothing annoying about that sound at all.
I mean, that was a video of actually me almost in the engine room, but it is still quite live. Now,
you're trying to kill the engine. Shut up, you.
Yeah, well, funny thing is he's called it Sonatis. Now, I'm going to leave that name, and some of you might have to do a bit of research, and you will find just how appertain that name is.
Well, it's the old master, engine. Frank Sonatis.
Oh, dear.
No.
Anyway, moving on.
Off the cuff, all of it.
So MyMac felt a little bit lonely again this week. We've moved into the era after the war, 1945 to 1999 now, on the Ordnance Survey bit that I'm getting to. We're getting really close because I've been using the Ordnance Survey, which has had a bit of an update recently. So I'm kind of wanting to get through this as quickly as I can to tell you about the update that's now happening on the app itself. Anyway, post-war, work began on creating a new national map with urban areas surveyed at 1-1-250. And rural at 1-2-500, and mountain and moorland at 1-10,000. Or 110,000. So that's anyway, people know we've got the maps. The national grid system was now used on all Ordnance Survey maps to identify position of any feature. It breaks Great Britain down into progressively smaller squares, identified first by letters and then by numbers, and is still taught to all pupils in primary school today. Yeah, well, you think it might be. Anyway, by 1962, the re-triangulation of Great Britain, which happened after the war, was finally complete. And aerial surveying helped speed up the new continuous revision strategy. And up-to-date drawing and printing techniques were introduced. But the organisation was still fragmented, scattered across southern England in various buildings. All that changed in 1969 when the majority of the Ordnance Survey's 4,000 strong staff, 4,000, moved into a purpose-built head office at Maybush in Southampton. It was a cavernous, I tell you, Guy, building. It would
have to be for 4,000 people.
Yeah, as everything was produced and stored in-house. Surveyors were based in field offices around the country. Photography became a dominant technology, both providing information for ground survey and for cartographic
yes,
and printing processes. That's me trying to read too quickly. The company adapted a method of cutting away detail from coated glass called scribing, to the use of plastic sheets, which allowed map detail to be built up into layers. And I'll do a little bit more until the 1990s, 1999 next week, or the week after, maybe.
If you don't, because I won't be on next week. So if you do a podcast,
I'm a bit
busy.
I might be a bit busy. So there might not be a podcast next week. We're just warning. We're not saying there will. We're not saying there won't.
And of course, Apple will on Thursday release 10,000 new products. Yes. This is the greatest thing that we have ever done. And everyone will agree and they'll be silence from MyMac.com.
Which will be great because it'll give us a week's time to take in all of the goodness and then give you a much more reasonable output the week after.
Yeah,
sorry,
but no one will care by then.
Did I say
reasonable? They'll be like, we've heard this.
Yeah. Anyway, on to Gaz's snippets. Apple tried to hire away a former Google search chief, Ben Gomes. I wanted to put this in. The reason I put this in is I so wanted to put an N after that G.
I was just thinking, is his name Gomes or Gnomes? Should be Gnomes.
No, I'm not going to go any more into that story. I wanted to
that's good enough right there.
Tetris Beat is now available on Apple Arcade. Now, I don't know if you noticed that Apple Arcade seems to be getting a lot of those, air quotes, classic older games coming on with an updated feel. I tried Tetris Beat. Not sure quite how good it is, to be honest with you. Now, Apple's anti-fraud chief said company was the greatest platform for distributing child porn, and that's
how would he know that?
That's why, because he's the fraud chief. And that we think obviously was kind of a starting point for this whole process that they've been going through with checking for the CSAM stuff on your phones and the way they've changed some of the processes recently. But that's where it all started some time ago. Davinci Resolve guy 17.3 now performs up to 3 times faster on Apple Silicon Macs. How fast can Silicon Macs go? How fast can they go? Eh?
Here, we were talking about this last week. I had a 2017 27-inch iMac with a quad-core 4.2 gigahertz processor.
Mm-hmm.
This M1 Mac Mini, and with 48 gigs of RAM and enough storage to choke a rhinoceros, if a rhinoceros was interested in eating hard drives. And it
could be
running Davinci on this Mac Mini. I was stunned at how fast it was. And that was before all of these updates. It's Davinci, and considering that it's free,
it's free. It's free for the likes of you and I. Put it that way.
Yeah. If you want to do more advanced stuff, then sure, it's going to cost a little bit. Yeah. But for the vast majority of what people want to use a multi-track video editor for, the free version is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's amazing.
The next story I loved, but what I didn't tell you is something that I'll mention at the end. An iPhone plummets 11,000 feet from an airplane and still works. 2 questions. First question, how did it fall from an airplane? Second question, nobody tells you that it fell into a load of fluffy feathers.
70. That was the person who owned the phone was on a call at the time.
And that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Yeah. He threw it out the window. Wait, hang on a minute. 11,000 feet. Not sure the window should have been opened. Anyway, we'll move on from that one, I think. Apparently, Q2 2021 iPad shipments in Western Europe were up 73%, guy, and Mac sales were up 11%. That's pretty good, I'd say.
Well, especially considering the various shortages that are going on right now, which is going to extend easily into next year.
Now, yes, definitely. The next 2 stories, Guy, is what's going to happen, right, when you start doing some of the things that Apple have been doing recently. A man has stolen 620,000 photos from iCloud accounts without Apple noticing. Some of them have been very private photos and videos as well.
So he basically had access to all these people's accounts using their passwords. How would Apple notice?
An anonymous reader quotes a report. But the point now, let me do the next one then. Apple allows children to access casual sex and BDSM apps, finds report. Now, the point I'm really making with those two stories is those are the sorts of stories that are going to hit you in the face when you start doing the things that you've been doing recently, especially Apple. No, they don't do it when Facebook and Google are doing it. But when Apple does it, those are the stories which suddenly jump out at you.
I don't let my kids get anywhere near my BDSM apps. I say, no, stay away from my bondage apps or somebody, else's.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Apple Watch has saved a man's life after he fainted. Now, fainting isn't a problem, but he hit his head on the floor.
That would be a problem.
Obviously, the phone registered the fact that he had a fall and called people. I think that is a really good process that the phone can actually do. So, well done, Apple Watch. Well done, man.
There he goes. No, he's still falling.
It's a big fall. That's a
long fall.
That's a big fall. Yeah.
No wonder the Apple Watch picked it up.
Yeah. It actually did it to me once when I was on the bike, and I kind of just stopped and went over and landed on my foot. I was still upright, but I landed really heavily and, kind of jarred myself, and it went, "Oh, are you okay? Shall I make an emergency call? You've got 5 seconds." What? No!
No, God.
Apple TV Plus earns 2 Emmy Awards for Calls and All Mankind.
I don't know what Calls is, and
I don't either.
So far behind on For All Mankind.
Oh, I've finished it. I'm waiting for the next series. Yeah,
I'm like 5 to 6 episodes. I still need to watch.
Yeah. I can. When you told me about it, I finally got into it, and I finished it ages ago. Yep. And by the way, have you seen the most recent Ted Lasso?
Yes, I did.
I'm quite enjoying it. Actually, it's a bit of a
little
turn.
Confused. Who is it that is actually texting? I don't want to say too much, but who is it?
No, don't say too much.
Boss lady.
Let's us have the conversation afterwards.
Okay, after this segment.
Yeah, well, afterwards. We don't want to put any spoilers on there. Don't want to put any spoilers for people.
And Star Trek Lower Decks is also very good.
Apple commits to new supply chain security program following Tim Cook's meeting with President Biden. Don't know if you want to go into a little bit more of this.
It sounds political, and it's what does President Biden have to do?
Moving on then,
Apple
releases new firmware for AirTags. Well,
if you can find them.
I could go back to the previous story and really start talking to you, but I'm not going to. Apple releases new firmware for AirTags. Apple has paid $100 million to settle developer lawsuit and agrees to multiple App Store changes.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
I had not heard this story.
Yeah, Apple on the 27th announced to make plans to several changes to the App Store in order to settle a class action lawsuit. Apple by let me just see if I can see a bit more. Apple also plans to create a 100 million fund for small developers as part of the settlement. Now, the thing is,
anything to do with Epic?
Apple settles antitrust case with developers, but it's far from an epic resolution to App Store monopoly concerns. I don't think. Also, there's a further story later on, I think, which Spotify don't think that it's a very good resolution either. Oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So, Google paid or could pay. I think they did pay actually either 15 or I thought it was 20 billion actually.
It was a crap ton of money.
It was a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
It was a crap ton of billions to maintain default iOS search engine status in 2021. It makes complete and utter sense when you see one of the first pages of every Google search engine is an ad. Yeah, great, because Google make every web page for everyone, don't they? Yeah, great. I think it's a shame the way it's gone and the way it's going, but there you are. That's
Well, it must be worth
Way
it
of the
to
world,
them
I'm afraid.
to spend to give Apple, like Apple needs another $15 billion. It's like, okay, well,
you say that with a bit of, in your pocket, but actually they may have that as part of the deal. That's part of the profit margin.
oh,
for
I'm
them
sure it
as
is.
well.
I'm
So
sure it is
part of the process. So, they may have an expectation and put that in their forecasting as well, because analysts will think about that, guy. Apple Watch dominates with 52 and a half, guy. That 0.5 is really important. Worldwide smartwatch market share. That's just incredible.
Yeah, because when they brought it out for the Samsung watch.
If you think when everybody said all the other watches are much better, but actually I see so many people wearing Apple Watches.
Yep.
And it's when they first brought it out, they didn't really know which way to go with it, but it's got a route to market now, isn't it? They know exactly what they want to do. Hashtag Apple II organizers say that they have heard nearly 500 stories of workplace issues so far. This is something, let me see if I can find that yet. A group of Apple employees announced that they were organizing under the hashtag Apple II to collect stories from workers at all levels, Guy, of the company in regards to its workplace issues. They've got issues.
Well, then find someplace else to work.
Yes, and as I said earlier, Spotify has said that Apple's App Store settlement is not enough. Surprise, surprise. Yes. Apple launches a no sound repair program for iPhone 12 and 12 Pro models. Apparently, there's been some issues with the iPhone 12 with no sound. So I don't know if you've got that problem, but there is now a repair program in place. SE2. SE2. Oh, I've got that story duplicated there. I don't know why I've put that in twice. Tim Cook has got a $750 million bonus on his 10th anniversary as Apple CEO, which was probably
don't spend it all in one place.
No. Apple has changed somewhat since Tim Cook has come in terms of their revenue and in terms of their market share and in terms of their market value. But I think they're still a good company to stick with, even though the maestro is not there.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of what Apple has done, regardless of who their CEO is, or was, or will be, the direction that they've been in for the last 15 years has served them very, very well. Yep. And that's not to say that they're still following whatever path Steve Jobs may have set for them, before he passed away, because circumstance. I mean, there was no way for anyone to anticipate the things that have been going on since Steve Jobs passed away, including Steve Jobs. So the fact that Apple has done so well, I think, is more along the lines of better educated consumers and better engineered products.
Cool. And that guy is the end of Gaz's snippets. I do have one quick link though.
Oh.
For the oh, you're gonna have to bleep that out.
Damn it! Now I have to remember to come back and do that. I'll forget. I know I'm gonna forget. Shoot.
In the shoot. If only you'd said shoot.
Yeah.
Now at the start of the pandemic, Guy.
Yeah.
The contactless valuation was raised from £30 in the UK to £45. Apparently, in the UK, it's going to rise to £100 in October. All I can say is it's about time for you poor people that have only got contactless cards, because on Apple Pay, I can and have done paid much higher than that.
I use Apple. The Apple Pay iOS app every single freaking time that I
can't remember the last time I didn't use my watch to pay for something.
Well, I mean, it's just
other than cash. There have been one or two like today we went round and there was a fair, and we paid cash to get some little bits, but that's it. Incredible. I love it. And that's the end of Gaz's links. Shall I take us out, or do you
Take
want
us
to?
out, please,
Okay.
Mr. Gas.
Without any swearing, everybody, what we need to do is
poop.
stand by for no more swearing. To stand by for no more bloody swearing.
You think that.
And we'll be right back. Yes, we will.
Well, I know where the edit point for this ending is going to go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second section of the mighty MyMac Podcast. And Guy, I forgot to say, Mr. Apter, it was basically hay fever. Now, that's all I'm going to say. I think it's cleared up now, so no problem.
It's a private message for
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Apter.
For Mr. Apter, it's a private message. Cheers, Gaz. Or I should be saying Gary, and he should be saying Gaz to me.
Yeah, somebody.
Anyway, Guy,
yeah.
Tell me what's not so easy. Not so easy to fall in love.
All right, so
not that.
No, not that.
Okay, no.
I was looking, as I was struggling, as I normally do these days, to find something to talk about in this section.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some Apple news, and I got really excited when I saw it, and it was iCloud related email stuff. Until I realized it wasn't really that easy, and it sounded really cool, and it is.
Okay.
You create your own personal email address from a domain you already own for free. Most of the domain registers charge you to create or to have an email accounts within your domain.
If you, let me just clarify that.
Yeah,
they charge you if you have more than X number. It all depends on the charging process of the company, but yes, I mean they do. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
a lot of them will just charge you regardless. If you want to set up an email account within your domain, they'll charge you extra for that. A lot of them. So when I looked at this, it was like, is it as easy as, hey, Apple, here's my domain name and email address I want? No, it isn't. And while Apple likely makes it as easy as they can, you still have to go to your domain managing company and create or edit existing DNS settings.
Oh.
Now, if you have a domain and don't know what DNS is, which is domain name system, welcome to the club. There's a lot of people that just go to Bluehost or GoDaddy or one of the countless companies that will sell you a domain name like, I don't know, Vertshark.com.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Write that one down.
Yeah,
is that one taken?
No.
Okay, good. And they make it easy to add hosting, email, help you build a site with built-in templates and so forth. Naturally, all at a cost.
Yes.
The point is they take care of all the hard stuff. And unless you really want to, you never see it. And for the vast majority of people with happy, fun time, family, and personal sites, this is all they want or need.
Correct.
Now, Apple used to do this too. When you wanted to add something like an email address for, I don't know, .mac, mac.com. What was the other thing? A mobile me, before they gave up and killed it with fire. It was relatively easy. So what happened? And in my mind, it's partly that they were trying to do too much with too few tools and relatively slow internet speeds, which made it almost impossible to maintain. So what did they do? They lowered expectations over the years with past promises, and no one ended up being very happy with it. If you remember when iCloud first started up, the uproar over all of the stuff that was going to go away. But it's not just online tools like MobileMe and iCloud that affects this. There was also the early days of, say, the iApps.
Yeah.
And longtime Mac users that will remember what iMovie used to be like, which was a single timeline with a relatively simple interface. And there were even companies that made these cool plugins that you could add to do some of the more advanced stuff. And then they turned around and they made it Final Cut Lite. Now, It's still easy, but the intuitiveness, there we go. Whew, got right through that, of the earlier version isn't there anymore. It's not as easy to use as it used to be. And it was the same way with something like a program that's now gone, iWeb, to create websites. I actually had like a 6 or 7 part series at mymac.com. No, I guess that's not the same thing.
No.
On how to take iWeb and the templates that were provided and make a website that didn't look like an iWeb, like an iWeb website. But it was basically drag and drop with the existing templates. You could use the built-in file transfer program to upload to your domain, that was really the only hard part, but that wasn't Apple's fault, and you were done. Early versions of Keynote, Pages, Numbers, in my mind, were much easier to use. Now, granted, they have more features now, and they offer somewhat better compatibility with other Office suites. But they're not the same. And another one that's lost a lot of features recently was GarageBand for podcasting. They had a lot of baked-in features for podcasting that are now gone. They actually had ways that you could take a video, drop that video in GarageBand, and kind of follow along with it while you made various edits and enhancements to the audio that was in your video. That's gone. Features for editing and enhancing audio for your videos, gone, as I just said. So I said it again. Now, what happened, Gaz?
I don't know. You tell me, Guy, what happened?
In some ways, Apple could be the victim of its own success, and in adding more features, the plug-and-play simplicity had to be sacrificed. And yes, it is still easier to use than other operating systems, but based on the number of calls that I get from friends and relatives who can't quite figure out this stuff, it's not there like it used to be. Now, I guess one of the big examples is iCloud. And it is easy, but it could be better. Photo sharing and backup, yes, if you don't have too many pictures, or will pay for more storage. You can use my photo stream, which doesn't count against iCloud storage, but that's only for a maximum of 1,000 pictures and only good for 30 days. After that, better have them sync someplace else. Now, mail, for iCloud Mail, yes. For other accounts, sort of. iCloud Drive lets you sync all of your stuff amongst multiple computers, as long as you remember to save it to an iCloud folder and have it synced locally in case of a network outage. Also, you can only have a maximum, I said 2 terabytes here, but that's not true. It's 4 terabytes that you can get with their highest plan. So don't count on saving all of those iPhone movies you've been making without local storage or some other kind of online syncing. Pages, Numbers, and Keynotes are decent enough online and collaborative tools. We actually use Pages for our show notes, and it's compared to some of the things that we used to use, it's been pretty rock solid.
It has.
Yeah, but other sites are passing them by in functionality. The best thing you can say is that for what it is, it rarely fails. Keychain works pretty well with Apple's own programs anyway. It can be a little weird with other browsers like Chrome, unless you're on the Windows version, this is what I found. I found this out just today. There is actually a Keychain extension for Chrome for Windows, not for the Mac. So on the Mac side, and if I get this wrong, somebody let me know. You go into Chrome and you add the password to whatever site it is that you're going to get to. Then you have to go in Chrome, log into your iCloud account, and then it'll start to sort of work. It's this weird, convoluted mess, and I could have that wrong, but it's not simple. It's not at all simple. Now, how can they clean this up? The iWork apps need to be updated and infused with features that some of the other cloud-based services use. Keychain and on the Mac, should be easily available to other apps and services. Apple should, and this is just me speaking here, Apple should offer domains and simple hosting along with iCloud's other features. And by simple, I mean not audio and video file sharing for podcasts, but you could certainly put links to where those other files might be, where they might be hosted. Email services from those domains would be included. Now, a lot of this is not necessarily Apple's fault. They can't control how outside services work or how those services are accessed. However, they could offer similar services, like simpler over what else might be available, and make those easily accessed. And in some cases, like the comparisons I can think of, Gaz, would be iCloud Storage versus Dropbox. There's a reason why Dropbox still exists and why people still pay for it as compared to iCloud. And some of that is there are features that are in Dropbox that just aren't available for iCloud.
Yeah, funny enough, I hear many more complaints about Dropbox than I ever used to. So not quite sure that's the application that it used to be. But yeah, I think I pretty much agree with you. You know, times were simpler, Guy.
Well, there was less that people were trying to do with their computers. I mean,
yeah.
And what kind of has accelerated a lot of this, in my mind, has been COVID. You know, with people now working from home, and a lot of people don't want to go back to the office when, you know, it's like, well, boo-hoo, get ready because it's going to happen anyway. The things that we used to go into the office to do are now becoming very easy to do from home.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be one of the perks to attract people to come to work for whatever company it is that is looking for talent. Where it's like, well, you don't want to come into an office and you know, go to do 10 meetings a day for all the rest of, you know, one of the guys I work with is practically ready to quit right now because he's working from home, but he's spending 4 to 6 hours a day in meetings, in online meetings. And it's making him crazy because he's not able to get to the stuff that he normally does. Or while he's basically, I mean, he's got his earphones on and he's hearing what's going on in these meetings, but he's completely ignoring it so that he can do this other stuff that he needs to do. And he just kind of listens for his name when somebody says, oh, hey, you know, Bob Joe Smith, we need you to look at this process. And then I'm sorry, what was that again? And then they'll tell him, oh, okay. And, you know, he'll make a note and he'll get on that Bob Joe Smith process when he can. And this is the kind of stuff, like, if you went to meetings in office, for the most part, they wouldn't last this long because you could tell from visual cues from the other people in the meeting when it was time to shut up and go back to your own office. But those cues don't exist in a virtual environment. Or you have people that feel that they need to have these meetings all the time so that they can justify their positions or something along those lines.
There is still a world out there of people that don't believe that people are actually working when they're working from home. It just doesn't contemplate that people are actually working, getting on with it. So,
and I mean, a lot of what I do, I can't do from home. So and it's part of the reason why I'm going slightly crazier than usual right now, because there's nobody else there. There's other people in the building, but nowhere near where I am. So I sit there in my cubicle for 8 hours a day doing the stuff that I need to get done. And I've got no social contact really with anybody except through electronic means.
Yeah. Difficult.
And it's mind, I'm getting mind-numbingly something. I don't know. It's
so
nuts.
So do you think Apple are trying to make it easy again, or do you think they will be able to make it easy again for some of those things that you've spoken about?
It depends. The problem is that when a lot of these things originally happened, it was like the dawn of the internet. So we're talking late 90s, early 2000s, when everybody was, looking at the internet like it was going to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And, before the cynicism,
Cynicism.
That word, cynicism, kind of got a hold of people, and they realized that the internet, for the most part, is a big bag of hurt and cats. So
can be.
Yeah. So the early promise of some of the things that Apple wanted to do with things like .Mac and Mac.com and Mobile Me were very ambitious, especially for their times. And a lot of it didn't work well because people's internet was just not that fast. So they got away from it and they started moving in other directions with other focus. But now that most people have access to relatively fast internet, I would really like to see Apple take another look at their online services and try to make them simple again, to add functionality that people are looking for. And even better, if they can keep it within the confines of an iCloud account, well, then that's just more money for Apple.
Well, I agree, Guy.
Oh, you would say
agree wholeheartedly. Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. This is an iOS one, Guy, and it's one that if you didn't know about, you damn well should.
Oh,
lock screen.
Words.
You've got your lock screen, whether it be on your iPad or your iPhone even, but you want to quickly get your camera up. Well, swipe from from right over to left. So swipe left on your screen, and hey presto, your camera app should open up straight away. It's quick, it's fast, and if you didn't know that, you do now.
There's lots of head nodding.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Wait a minute. No, that's not going to become a regular thing.
I think the original Mr. Hall jingle was enough.
Yeah, but
you are absolutely right.
I just
have we got any feedback, Guy?
We do. We got a audio feedback on our Skype number. A third person knows what our Skype number is. I'm just we're setting the world on fire.
I think we should get rid of that Skype number before it gets burnt.
Well, and it's a longtime friend of the show, Tom Schmidt.
Hey, Guy and Gaz. I am listening to your discussion of Electron on the most recent episode of the MyMac.com podcast. This is Tom Schmidt. And I want to point out something about Electron. As far as, say, a Photoshop replacement, it doesn't make sense because Electron basically is a web browser that only goes to one site. So if you look at the Electron apps that exist, like Slack is a website. It's web-based. Microsoft Teams is built with Electron. It's web-based. 1Password syncs through the web. It's web-based. So, broadly speaking, if it works in a web browser and it functions as an app, that's when Electron makes sense. So things like, say, Photoshop or Microsoft Word, since they work with local documents and aren't web-based, wouldn't be something that would make sense to make in Electron. So talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks, Tom. Though I do disagree with you because you have Microsoft Office available through a web browser. You have the iWork apps available through a web browser. So to take something, and there are apps online. Canva is one where you do some manipulation of files and stuff online in a web browser.
Other than that, though, Guy, we're going back to the original iPhone. Let's start building web apps.
Exactly.
And also, there were some applications, or you could actually create, I think Fluid allowed you to create some web pages into apps as well, didn't they? So it was actually a web page. So if you create a web page, and then, Fluid has been there before. So yeah, interesting, cool. I like it.
Yep.
I like
Thank
it.
you, Tom.
Fair show. Yeah. Cheers, Tom. Cool.
If you would like to help me, please, for the love of God, pay for all of these things. Not so much with mymac.com, though. Some of the services that I use to create this podcast do cost me money. You can go to patreon.com /MacParrot. You can go to ko-fi.com/MacParrot. You can go to PayPal to pay a pal at paypal.me. I'm looking for parrot poop. /MacParrot. Now, Gaz.
He's over
still
there.
flying around. Is he over there?
Yeah.
Get
Shut
it
up
with
now.
fire. Fire. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do so?
Send an email to gazjz at mymac.com, or on the Twitters, twitter.com/gazmaz, G-A-Z,
Guys.
M-A-Z. You can also send a tweet on the Twitters to Guy and Gaz. That's twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, G-U-Y, A-N-D, G-A-Z-Z-Z.
Cars. Oh.
Excellent. You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's F-W-E-A-C-K at mymac.com. Now, who's the one?
Guy's the one.
Oh, Guy's the one. That's good. That's good. What was his name?
His name was Guy.
Ah, right. No, you're not joking, are you?
No fooling.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad about that.
Oh.
Why?
He's the guy.
Is he? Who again?
Guy.
Ah, right. Okay.
You remember Guy?
No, I don't, because
Guy was paid his 75 grand.
that's the one
No.
that I remember.
No.
Anyway,
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
I don't normally.
Guy says,
What, when he's drunk?
Very.
Guy
Very
says,
drunk.
if you want,
An email from Guy.
how would they do it?
A brand new way to do it, which kind of
Ooh.
helped to jumpstart the conversation this week. The new email address to get a hold of me is podcast@vertshark.com. So that's podcast@vertshark.com. So be the very, very first to get your email in as compared to all those people.
And guess what? If you are the first person to send an email to podcast@vertshark.com, you might get a wooty.
Oh, yeah. There's a way to entice people.
Oh, I've just sent
'Cause it's worked.
I've just sent my email off.
It's worked so well for all the other email addresses that we have. You can also reach me on the Twitters. I am MacParrot, as well as VertShark over there on the Twitters. We have a Skype number, Gaz.
No, we don't.
Tom knows it.
Tom knows it. Who else knows it?
Marcus
Marcus knows it.
and
Who
Greg
else
from
knows
North Carolina.
it? Yay!
Those are the big three right there.
The big
That-
three.
The big three. It is one or plus one outside the United States. Area code 703-436-9501. That number again is 1 or plus 1 703-436-9501. Or if that 1 or plus 1 just bores you to tears, and you start yawning, all you have to do is get rid of it and just go right to the Skype app and dial 703-436-9501. Oh, yes. So podcast@vertshark.com. That's a new email address. I would like to say thank you to everyone who has downloaded and listened to the MyMac.com podcast this week. We really, really do appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to do so. And Gaz,
What?
sad Wilf picture aside.
He wasn't sad. He just had quite a happy little skippity-doo.
Well, he had a look on his face that said, "I'm a sad Wilf."
It might be because he's had his balls chopped off this week.
Well, it would certainly make me sad. I think. Now you're talking about the ones that you throw around, right?
Yeah. No.
So I think that Wilf was good enough. That Wilf wasn't smart enough to avoid going to the vets, and that doggone it, Wilf, people like us, except for Wilf, who does not like the vet.
Vel at dunkel, the inkebitje ikke at jeg vil at dette skal vid, enkelt leg til kunstvid, men giv dem enke nøkke ved bestilte mudde.
I had no idea where you were as you said that in those words.
Guy,
Yeah.
people think that being a waiter isn't a respectable job. But hey, it puts food on the table. End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and I go home.